Hey guys, welcome back to TMNT Reviews. Today we're taking a look at the HeatBoys TMNT-01 Leonardo. So most people are familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Most people are familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle leader, Leonardo. But this is an interesting twist. Full-on die-cast frame, plastic shell, mecha version of Leonardo, and they're going through with like the whole Turtles cast. They're doing Splinter, April O'Neil. They're doing Shredder as well, so it's going to be pretty fun. All right, now overview of Leonardo himself and just the gimmicks on the main body. Size, right around 8.5. If you're looking at the bandana, 8 3/4 ish. The tampos on this thing are magnificent. And you know, while we're at the back, we might as well start looking at the gimmicks and stuff like that too. So here's that. Let me see if I can't brighten this up some for you guys. Okay, cool. Alright, so it starts with getting these flaps out. Let me see if I can do it just with my fingernails. If so, that'd be great. If not, we will actually use one of the swords. Alright, so there's that. What I'm doing is pressing here and then just taking my nails. It is pretty thin. Alright, get that started. Alright, those go out. This goes up. Okay. Make sure we're balanced there. And boom. Alright, you see you have that little canister-like thing. This flips around. And from there, one of the pieces that was on that sprue was a seated Leonardo. Now it's hard to get in there. Let me see if I can move the camera closer and still focused. But there you go. Alright, I'm going to back off. So what I'm going to do, turn that around. That's so neat. And then we're just going to go the reverse. There's that. Then there are those two. And in case I forget, the turtle shell, the bottom part, does have some articulation there at the bottom. Alright? And since we're going over gimmicks, might as well go over the head as well. I'm keeping this a little bit darker for this shot because he has a light gimmick. It's not the brightest, but I'm hoping you guys can see it. Alright, the eyes just lit up right there. And this is a magnet. This is becoming a newer thing. Toys with magnets that activate them. I actually really like it versus switches that break and whatnot. So, has two modes, lit up. And we'll actually turn these lights off so you can see about how bright it is. Like I said, not the most bright. And then it has like a pulsating. And then off. And if you want to start it again, same thing. One tap, lit up. Next tap, pulsating. Next tap, off. So, 3 phases. Now I'll give you guys a quick rundown of the articulation. Head is out of ball joint, so there's some up and down movement and stuff like that. It can technically 360. Got to watch the shell in the back. But if you need some extra articulation, the neck actually expands like an actual turtle, which is cool. And then there's a pivot on there as well. So really cool stuff. And I love that he has the ability to rock its head like side to side too. Shoulders, there is butterfly. There is movement on the shoulder pad as well. Make sure we're getting everything out of the way here. Alright. Get that up. Parallel. And you can see die-cast joints. Boom. I want to see what kind of... Oh, okay. So this is on a slider. It's just really tight. I was wondering about that. And again, these tampos, even looking over the arm and stuff like that here, all the little details and stuff, and a lot of the text on it is turtle related too. It's really cool. More die-cast in the joints there. Double jointed elbow. All right, went over the bicep swivel. The wrist, do swivel as well. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom into the hand. All right. Each of the fingers has about the same articulation. Ball joints, and then 2 joints here. So 1 knuckle, and then another knuckle at the top of the finger. And I do like that it has the rock here too. The one thing I don't like about the hands, and this is a minor nitpick, but it's a slant, the peg for the weapons. So, like, anytime you put a weapon into his hands, it's automatically slanted outwards. I don't get that. I wish that they would have put, like, downward rock in the wrist and just had it straight, so you had the option of just having him hold, like, a sword, gun, whatever, straight out. So, again, not the end of the world, but could have been better in my opinion. All right. So, looking at ab crunch. All right. Ab crunch. He doesn't really have back bend, so it's just ab crunch. Has levels right there, right there. Pretty neat. He does actually have rock here at the top. And in terms of waist swivel, he does have it, but personally, I'm not pushing this just because I'm afraid of the paint rubbing. It feels really tight past like that 45 degrees. I think that's about the extent of it, so I'm keeping it there. You know, apologies to you guys and the company if I'm not showing it off to its fullest extent, but at the same time, this is a product that I bought and I want to keep it in good shape. All right. So these pieces do move here on the thigh. I don't exactly know why they move, if we're being honest. But outward, die-cast hips. Forward, that would be why. Oh, and it has movement there. Okay. There we go. All right. And then backswing. Okay. And that's more articulation in the shell there. All right. Well, we already went over the knees and how the parts move and stuff like that. That's really neat. 360, thigh swivel. All right. That's about the legs right there, but the feet. All right. Tilt. And then good amount of ankle rock. And the feet, as well as the front part of the foot, have articulation as well. So really cool, really articulated, just good stuff. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily like breaking ground or anything like that, but at the same time, it does really good for what it is. These die-cast figures have been killing it for years now, and it's cool because such a high standard's been set that even with this one, just to be par for the course, it has to be pretty great, if that makes sense. So ever since like companies like Mosho, I forget the one. They did these Digimon EX figures, and they were third party. They actually got shut down before they could finish the line. But a lot of these third parties in particular have just, they took it to a new level. Like Bandai started it with a lot of their die-cast lines, like Metal Build and stuff like that. A lot of these third parties started adding die-cast frames onto other licenses, and they added that articulation. It's good to see this transfer over into licensed lines, finally. And this one's a bit harder to zoom in on. It's not super detailed or anything like that, but it is just a miniature of Leonardo, another piece on the sprue. And just in case you guys were wondering, the rest are just wheels. So not going to show those off until I've got all 4 turtles and can actually build the turtle van. But it's about 3/4 of an inch tall to the tip of the swords. And before we start showing off the accessories, he does have 2 areas, and I believe I'm kind of doing things all over the place. I believe in the previous footage that you've seen before now, you've seen these parts already off, so you know they come off. But just showing you to make sure. So on his elbow and on each of his calves, he has pieces that come out, to reveal more ports. So he's got tons of storage. So he's got his shoulder pads, the back of the shell, 2 on his waist, 2 on his elbows, as well as 2 on his calves. So lots of storage room there. And we'll go ahead and try at least to pop this guy off too. There we go. And I don't keep super long nails or anything like that. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. Alright. And I guess we'll just start going through these one by one. The sword holsters come in 2 parts. So these guys that go into the sides, and then the clip parts for sword holsters themselves to go into. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip that on. Clip that on. And then when these guys are on, you know, since they're pegs, you can move these up and down, as well as rotate these guys too. So you do have some playability with how you position them as well, which is pretty cool. But you guys want to see the swords themselves, and here they are. And now I do believe that this is a die-cast piece, which is pretty darn cool. Now to get it on the hands, just go ahead and peg it in, like we went over when we went over with the hands, and boom. And again, my one problem is just the fact that he automatically holds it at an angle. Kind of weird. Not crazy, but, you know, different. For the rest of this, we're actually just going to keep the sword holsters attached to them, just because they're pretty traditional Leonardo. I do feel that looks right. It's not a nitpick, but one thing I just plain wish they had was the ability to cross the 2 sword holsters, like the more traditional Leonardo looks. And there we go. Just doing the darn thing now. And that's a good segue to talk about on this guy. This is a heavier toy, so when it comes to balancing, you do have to make sure the feet are planted, and that includes the toes. They are kind of stiff joints, so when you move him around, move the ankles and stuff like that, make sure the feet are completely planted, because he doesn't have, in particular, the most heel support. You can see like his heels don't necessarily stand out past, and it works because the weight, and this just clips back in. So no big deal there. But yeah, just make sure the feet completely planted and you'll be alright. So there's that. Now in terms of just poses and stuff, let's not get too wild with it, but just something like that. And my cat is also down here. My kitten, I'm sure you guys have seen him on my social media. He got moved down to the basement and he is asking for attention, even though he already just ate. I believe it's probably his food bowl that he just knocked down, because he's a cat and cats be cat. You guys who own them know how it is. I'm sure even you guys who don't. I've seen plenty of funny stories. about cats knocking stuff over. So, all right, let's lower this down, get a good angle. Put this back a bit more. Make sure we utilize the waist as much as possible. There you go. All right, so the next thing we'll look at is the shield. It has the option of, you can just flip this adapter piece, so it's two pieces. There's a square block that goes in there, and then a peg that goes inside of that. You'll see in the instructions. All right, so with that, you could choose to put it on either side. And these flip as well, so, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can just flip it around, boom, and then, here we go. We're just pegging it into that one on the back of the elbow. And there we go. Pretty standard shield. Now these two pieces remove. And there's a lever here. You can bring this up, you can bring it down, depending on how you want to peg it. But this can peg anywhere on them as well, so if you want it to be like shoulder pads, you can go ahead and peg it into there. I don't like that look for either of them personally, but just kind of show you guys how it's supposed to go. And it's one of those ones where you got to find the right angle because, yeah, there we go. You can have them as side skirts, and the side skirts, that doesn't look too bad to me, but I like to have his smaller blades there too. Alright. So now that we've got these here, you can go ahead and use this for the shurikens. There's one, there's two. And just in terms of this, you can also wedge this out a bit. You can peg in the swords there. And I wish you could do it without taking that part off. Get this back in. Then from there, you have that. Again, those feet, man. Okay. Now those are the two miniature swords. Get this off again. And I'll just take the shield off. That way you can see what I'm going to do with those better. Now let's just kind of wiggle those free. And of course, you could have him hold them like so, or you've got these adapters here that fit into his sides, one side, two side, okay, boom. And boom. And see what I mean? I prefer to have those at the sides. I just like that a lot better. Alright, and we've got him all gadded up now. So he's got the big blaster in his hands. He's got the two smaller blasters, or big rifle, in his hands. Two smaller blasters already holstered on his calves. Yeah, pretty cool. And it's kind of insinuated that this is mutagen or whatever, so it kind of weirds me out that these turtles are riding around in big mecha shooting mutagen that's potentially getting on citizens and stuff like that and turning them into like animal monsters. But I mean, I guess they got to do what they got to do. Who knows what's going on in whatever universe these exist in. All right, and here he is all armored up. So customization wise and stuff like that, make it your own. All of these are the same peg hole size. I think that they're either 4 or 5 millimeters, the peg holes, but they're all equivalent in size and whatnot. And again, make it yours. So this is how I have it configured for the time being. I'm not the biggest fan of the super armored up look. Maybe when I ultimately just have it up for display after everything's all said and done, this is what I'll go with. But for now, it's kind of, I actually like the design so much that I kind of like it not being covered up with all of this stuff. But it's cool that the majority of this, you actually can go ahead and display on the figure and not have to worry about a lot of that. So with the Shoryuken and stuff like that, like for this configuration, I can't display it. What is cool is that at least the base opens up and you can stuff some of this stuff inside of there. All right, I'm closing this out. I've got him on the stand. It attaches pretty easy. The pole just screws into the base, and then there's a piece that comes off of the backside of him here. It just comes out. You just pull it out, and then it pegs in with either of them. One's at an angle, the one that I have now, facing a little bit more upwards, and then the other one is just straight forward. So that's the difference between the two stand pieces, and then it comes with a shorter pole and a larger pole. Alright. Now to bring this in, go ahead and zoom in on Mr. Leonardo. Alright. Get this a little bit higher and then I'll close this out, give you guys some closing thoughts here. Now, closing thoughts, what I think of it, honestly, it's an absolutely incredible piece. It's the kind of crossover that I wish we'd get more of, especially on a licensed level. HeatBoys knocked this the bleep out. Really solid product, really solid design, and I mean, there's essentially damn near nothing wrong with the figure. Like, as a figure, it's a 10 out of 10. It's an objective 10 out of 10. It does everything it's supposed to do fantastically. Now, you can say, I don't like Ninja Turtles. All right, cool. I don't like mecha toys. Okay, cool. I don't like diecast toys. Cool. Those are subjective, not objective. Subjective is preference, but objective is facts. And fact is, everything that it presents and everything that it sets out to do as a product, it absolutely excels in. I highly recommend this piece. I mean, it looks great, it plays great, and you know, for me as a Ninja Turtle fan, as a mecha fan, as a diecast collector, it's almost like overwhelming how much this appeals to me, you know, because it's like, where did this company come from? When you have those pieces that feel like they're specifically made for you, there's something special about it. And I feel like I'm not the only one that's going to get that feeling when this comes in. But anyway, this has been HeatBoys TMNT-01 Leonardo, the first of their mecha series. They're bringing us all 4 turtles. I know I've seen Splinter, April, and Shredder as well, so who knows where this line's going to go. I think I even saw like eventually they're going to do like a transforming turtle van that transforms into like a turtle that kind of looks like Leonardo or something like that. So they've got all kinds of stuff coming, and I hope the quality remains, because frankly, I think that this is going to become a company with, I don't know where they're going and what kind of licenses they have, but they're going to be one of those ones to look out for. So get it while it's hot, get it while it's still in stores, get it while it's still at MSRP. This has been another Kuma Style review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Check out the full written review and gallery on kumastyle.com. I'm glad to be back, glad to interact with you guys, and I'll see you soon. Later.